Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. This is our Crypto Weekly Review, episode 37. So, for, I guess, September 17th. Halfway through the month, and I guess, God, we're 3/4 of the way through the year at this point, which is, which is shocking. Although, the older you get, the quicker this stuff goes, so time is flying. But I suppose I guess for crypto enthusiasts, we might as well just get some time behind us because it's been a long and boring. Well, it was a pretty brutal bear market there a while back, and then now we've been kind of lately. Crypto's been pretty boring, so I guess I could say this is another episode of Crypto is Boring with the fine folks at Crypto Traders Arena. And I'm with my co-host here, the founder of Crypto Traders Arena, Mr. Paul J. You want to pop on and say hi to everyone?
I'm here and I'm only one quality. I'm consistent. That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean,
I'll be here almost every Sunday.
Yeah, we've done a pretty good job so far. We've made it 37 weeks in a row, or 37 weeks into the year, and no plans to change anything up here. Even though there is, it is a little boring right now. And I was thinking this morning, we're getting into kind of like being lulled to sleep territory at this point, which is something that seems to happen in markets. Like, they're not gonna. They're not going to turn the market while everyone's paying attention. I mean, I don't know how to say it other than that. It's like things will probably get really boring. General public isn't involved in crypto. We've talked about that a lot, but I think it's pretty clear that on average, the masses are not talking about crypto right now. Probably still feeling the burn from getting run over last time, but it'll be that point when absolutely no one cares that the real bottom gets put in. And of course, right now we're just getting lulled to sleep. And I think, probably the whales and institutions, whatever you're going to call them, big money, of course, they're silent, like quietly trying to accumulate right now. So they don't want to cause too much of a stir and drive price up so they can't get their positions filled. So I do think we are in that accumulation part of the cycle where we should expect it to be pretty dead. And I think for us, the key here is to not get lulled to sleep and lose interest right at the worst moment. You get bored, like even this, there's not tons to get too excited about here today in terms of buying altcoins. It's just sort of the same kind of like looking for good location, looking for things that are starting to strengthen up, but not really expecting anything to just start ripping out of the gates tomorrow or anything like that. And I don't expect us to be heading into a bull market tomorrow. So the problem is if you lose interest over the next few months here, even if it's longer, then you'll kind of walk away and miss it. And then you'll have to come back and be one of the people in the general public that's FOMOing in later. So it's a tricky game. So even though it's boring right now, we should just try to keep our heads in it. At least, I mean, even at bare minimum, if you watch this show once a week, spend an hour or two thinking about crypto with us, then, you'll probably hear it in our voices when things get a little more exciting. And so even just watching this show, not to shamelessly plug this show, but I think watching this show will keep you enough in the game to not miss it. So just, spend a little bit of time. If this is something you want to try to capitalize on going forward, then it's, make sure you're at least keeping your attention on it a little bit every week. And of course, this is a great time to be building your plan and learning to trade, learning technical analysis, learning about crypto, all these things. This is a good time to actually be putting time into that. So, if you're the type of person that's interested in the technologies around all this stuff, good time to jump into that and just sort of bide your time, I guess, while we're waiting for the real bottom. Because I don't think it's in, I don't want to say not so much the bottom, but I don't think the bull market's starting right now. There's probably a lot more time. And of course, the Bitcoin halving is still, it's getting damn closer, that's for sure. So we're getting closer, but that's still not till next, April or May, I think. And there's also this sort of tendency of the markets to kind of grind lower into the end of the year. So here we are in mid-September. We've got the last quarter of the year coming up. September is often a kind of a yucky month for the stock market in general, so probably shouldn't expect too much bullishness here the next couple weeks. And then we'll see if we can get any kind of bounce before it sort of grinds down into the end of the year. But I think in general, I'm still expecting that to happen. So the next few months is just probably should be boring. I think it's maybe best if it's just kind of boring and we can see, as ourselves quietly accumulate too. Just keep nibbling the bottoms of these things, not blowing all of our dry powder too early, and just trying to stay patient and going slowly. That's my plan, at least, and that's our general plan for this show. The Road to Financial Freedom plan that Paul will get into here in a bit is basically just doing that. And it is kind of repetitive in nature. This whole thing is like, if you're not into it, it probably would come off as really boring. If you're not, if crypto and trading hasn't grabbed you already, then it's probably hard to like sit through these, and you probably will lose interest. So only the diehards are left, like I've been saying. But we're going to be doing the same thing every week, just like we are here today. We'll be back next Sunday and the following Sunday, and we're going to ride this thing all the way into the next bull market, whatever that is, and whenever that is, and however it plays out. We'll know it then, and we're not stopping this show until the day we liquidate everything when we get our... well, that's a little dramatic. But, of course, our plan does make it clear when we're going to walk away from most of these positions, or at least the bulk of it. And when that happens, it'll be a much different climate than right now. We're not anywhere near that point. So who knows when that'll come, but when it comes, we'll know it. And of course, that's why we have, in our plan, we're using an indicator called the Pi Cycle Top indicator, which did a pretty good job last cycle of just kind of calling out a time when peak euphoria is in and it's likely to run out of steam. And we're just going to use that to basically define the top for us. And so and it's not like when that indicator fires, everybody's, of course, we don't expect everybody to copy our plan exactly, but in this particular plan, when that indicator fires, we'll start, either trailing our stops or working cells to start exiting whatever's left after, selling halves on doubles here in the meantime and stuff like that. So if you want to know about that plan, or if you haven't been following along here, of course, that's available in our Discord channel, and you can, basically make a copy of the spreadsheet that we're using, and the plan is in there. You can see exactly where our bids and sell levels are on that plan, and also you could just make a copy and delete everything and use it for your own personal log if you'd like to. So that's a really cool tool that Miku and his guys have made for us, and it's cool. So I highly recommend checking that out. You can find that on our Discord too. And really at the bottom of this show, there should be a link to join our Discord if you're not already in that. And we are private now. So if you have any issues trying to join up, just message either Paul or me on Twitter, or follow the link here at the bottom of this show. Just due to spam and stuff, we don't just let those links float around. Now there's just too many scammers joining. So problem with today's this weird social media world where I even saw a fake PJ. There's a fake Paul here this week, and it still got in somehow. I think I saw on Discord. Anyhow, that always, as a general reminder too, just while I'm thinking about it, of course, there is like a lot of risks in systemic risk in crypto in regards to privacy and scammers, and being friends with like cartoon profiles on the internet. So always try to be mindful of that. And as much as we need trading plans, we also need a security plan. So hopefully you've put at least a little bit of thought into that, and trying to make sure that you're staying safe out here, because that's always an issue. But anyhow, what can we talk about here? I'll probably do a little broader market thing here really quick. And I did pull up some weekly charts here on these kind of the risk on market and the DXY that I usually go through. Have been usually looking at the daily charts on this show, but today I just figured I'd pull up the weeklies and just kind of zoom out a little bit, just to sort of get I don't know, just get a larger overview of what's going on here real quick. And most importantly would be the DXY, just because it has been on a ripper. And it's funny when you look at it on a weekly chart, we're just now into like the ninth week, I think, of straight green candles. Yeah, I think so. Here, let's see. Yeah, nine. We just closed the ninth week of newer, basically higher highs almost the whole time. I mean, there's a couple candles in here that didn't close as a higher high than the previous week, but for the most part, that is just straight up. Uh, so yeah, we caught quite the bounce. A couple months ago, and now we've just been straight up. And interestingly, we've just slammed right into 38.2 here. So that is an interesting level for the DXY. And of course, we follow this just making an assumption that the risk on markets are inversely correlated. So if the dollar's shooting straight up, we probably will see sideways or even downwards pressure on things like the stock market indexes and then crypto. And that's a very general statement. It doesn't necessarily play out exactly like that all the time, but in general, if the DXY is rising, then we should expect pressure on the risk on market. And so, clearly we've been straight up here, and clearly the stock market and crypto has been kind of sluggish, you could say, for the last couple of months. But now we're just come up into this key level, 38.2, which is usually sort of like kind of the what you expect. I would call it like the dead cat bounce. Like usually if a market's, like the dollar did go into a downtrend here and tests of 38.2s are, in my opinion, like a dead cat bounce. And so if we can't get above 38.2 and build any sort of strength above there, then I would think of this as nothing more than a dead cat bounce. And seeing a rejection here wouldn't be a huge surprise. This is like a place where we could start thinking about maybe the dollar rolling back over here. It hasn't happened yet, to be clear, but we did just hit this level. And so as long as we're below 38.2 here, I think we've kind of just established a range probably against the highs going back to like, March. Here, we're coming up testing this big wicks that's shooting up right here, right now. And as long as we we'll see what happens here. We did take out the last high. So we have kind of changed, there's been a change in the market state a bit from the downtrend. We did take out, I would call that more of like an intermediate pivot, I think. And then this is the key high here. Just because, we made like a key low, key high, not really a new low, although we did just barely tick through there. So these are like intermediate pivots, and then that was the kilo. So it would be like lower or low, high, and lower low. And now are we going to make a higher high would be sort of like the macro trend. And these two pivots in here are more like intermediary, but nonetheless, we still took out that high. And so, I think we're in a range here for the moment with 38.2 basically being the top of the range. Now, and of course, this is a straight up move. So how much strength behind this? I don't know. It certainly has not topped yet. But this isn't a place, or this is a place where we should at least think about price rolling over here a bit, which would give the risk on market some breathing room. Now, that said, though, this looks damn bullish. So we'll just have to wait. And of course, this is a weekly chart, so it'll take at least 2 more weeks to put in any kind of 3-bar top. So we're certainly not there yet. But you can see how, back here, we ultimately did sort of fractal out here with a 3-bar top, and then we had to work our way down over time. But in general, man, when I zoom out at this, I do actually have to say that the DXY is just basically in a strong uptrend here, going all the way back to the original bottom in 2008. Hopefully you can see the nice W's kind of coming in back here as we got above the 200, and then we went into the uptrend. And even these lows here are really just tests, Wyckoff checks of the W, and then strong uptrend. And, we're above the 200 period moving average. It's pointing higher. And now the intermediate and medium term moving averages are cross bullishly again. So, I mean, there's nothing really particularly bearish about this. And in general, I have to admit that I would be expecting, if we can get above 38.2, that's sort of the determiner right now. But if we do get above, then things like these reload zones up here start to make sense. And then the last thing I'll say about this zoomed out kind of look is we did come up into the macro sort of short reload zone and this M top going all the way back to 2001. Which is fascinating. We have this very well-defined M up here, and then we just came up into that and topped out last time. And of course, if you drew like fibs off of there, that's just like right in a reload zone, I'm sure. Like even if I just tick those, you can see like we didn't quite hit 88.6, but we got damn near close, and so we were above reload zones technically. And so that wasn't a crazy place to see a rejection there. But now what happens as we get back up there again? We'll just have to wait and see. But of course, if the DXY just does keep shooting up here, then there's going to be a lot of downside risk for the risk on market still. I think there'll be pressure on that. So as long as this DXY is shooting straight up like this, it's hard to kind of get behind a crypto bull run. So I think ideally, if we are bulls in risk on market, we want to see a rejection here at 38.2, and then just even range bound here for a while would be nice, just to let the market set up. So anyway, certainly looks strong though. Geez, and we've been talking about other places where we were thinking maybe the DXY would get knocked back down, and it's just blasted through any other like sort of medium term resistance. It's just been straight up, and it kind of looks like it wants more up. So. I mean, the only thing, it's not really a truly bearish thing, but the only thing bearish you could say about the DXY is that it's just been so straight up. You'd think it would at least pull back a bit, but that's not a good reason to take a trade. It looks strong, and conversely, the risk on markets don't look strong right here. I mean, we did catch kind of a bounce. We did catch like a higher low bounce a month or so ago in like, this is the S&P 500. And all we've really done now is just bounce up into like reload zones of this little range here. Like I have this red box, which is just the fib zone of this down move here. We came right up and almost hit 78.6 this week, actually. Didn't quite hit it, and then got promptly rejected. So, the story here, I suppose, is we are still in this macro uptrend for sure. And this would be more reflective of and I don't know if I really said that about the DXY, but we've been in a macro downtrend with the DXY, and technically we're testing that right now. So we've been on this strong, like sort of medium term uptrend in the broader downtrend of the DXY that's now potentially being tested. And so during this whole rally, this was sort of like the DXY wasn't in a bull market. Now it's all kind of up in the air because you have like the risk on market very much in like short location in general, just off the old highs, and not truly broken yet, in my opinion, on a weekly chart. It's just, I have this kind of range potential M drawn here because I think that's kind of what we're in here now, is like we've established a range now on this last down move, with the lows being at 44.50 or 43.55, I guess is what that is, and the highs up here at 46.24 or so. That's sort of carving out a range now, and we just have to see what happens here. Of course, if the dollar keeps shooting up, then maybe we do top out here and have to come back and test the bottom of the range. But either way, for the moment, it looks range bound to me. This could turn into an M if we start losing the lows here, and that would be a real structural top. But currently we don't have like a true M here. Of course, back here we didn't really have a true M either. Now we did later. It was a little late, but here we started Ming out in a big way. But we didn't get like, the Nasdaq has a much cleaner M on it, which we'll look at here in a second. So the point being is, there's definitely some topping things here about this weekly chart. So one is, like, I noticed that we're starting to get M's in OBV here. We haven't technically made that M yet. We got damn near close to actually confirming an M here on a weekly OBV on the S&P. So that's not a great sign. And so if we close to the downside this week, that's going to confirm that M most likely. So I'll be watching for that. What did I just do to my charts here? And then I will say that RSI didn't actually M out though, so we didn't actually get any sort of weekly divergence there. And this is the cumulative S&P, so there might be, if we pulled up like SPY and stuff, it might look a little different, or if we even look at like the actual contract or something. But for the sake of this show, I'll just, right now we don't truly have an M, but either way, we have location. And we have this ugly OBVM, which I think is a little more powerful than that RSI anyway. And so the point is here, we definitely are sluggish and running out of steam, but we've been in this uptrend. It's not fully broken yet. It's just, this is a place that we wouldn't expect, or we could easily expect this thing to roll over here. In general, I do think we're still kind of in this uptrend. As long as we're above the trend line here and above the 200, I think the general uptrend is still intact. It's just definitely a little sluggish here. So for the rest of the year, it might just kind of range here is what I'm thinking. Maybe even break down more than that. We'll just have to see. And the NASDAQ is basically the same. The only thing I'll point out really about the NASDAQ on the weekly chart is we did get a real M over here. This nice M structure. And we also came right back up into that M and got rejected. This is like a classic range setup, really. Like if you're looking at this on any time frame, really, and you're a range trader and you see like a market structure top over here, and then you see price coming up into that top later on down the road, that's short location for sure up against that M. So, and you can even, you can see how we've just basically topped out into that M. So not a huge surprise here. Otherwise, it all looks basically the same. Same potential M here now. And on a daily chart, this actually shows up as a real M, whereas the S&P didn't really get like a daily M, but the NASDAQ, there's a cleaner M here. Very much Emmy looking. And so, it's not a surprise what happened like this week. We've come back up into that M, got into short reload zones. We had a kind of a W here working. So there is like a base being set here. This is why I'm kind of thinking range in general is, we did kind of put in a W. It's very tall and wide and not easily tradable, but it sort of sets a base here, and then we have an M top here. So now we're just kind of ping-ponging inside this range, I'm thinking, is the case for now. So I could see people shorting up here, and I definitely could see potential longs coming in like reload zones of the range later on down the road. We'll see how that goes. So generally speaking, with the DXY being ripping and these markets look sluggish. That's all I can say. It's hard to get super bullish right here. That's about all I can say. And the same M in OBV is trying to come in here, and we actually have confirmed RSI divergence here too. So a little unlike the S&P. And of course, the NASDAQ was what was driving the stock market bull run, right? It was mostly like the high flyer tech stocks that were driving this whole rally. And of course, they're probably running out of steam a little bit here. Although I did see some funny things, like didn't Tesla take off? I think Tesla like blasted off pretty hard this week on some sort of, I don't know, analyst news, and I don't know. I'm not going to get too into that though today. And then I'll just mention the Russell 2000 really quick. Also very range bound, has been range bound, and is kind of failing here. That's all I'll mention. So small cap stock market also looks pretty weak at the moment. I'm kind of seeing like a head and shoulders here that could actually break down, and that would just suggest probably reload zones of the range. We have a very much carved out range here. Kind of looks like we want to test the downside here. So never quite got to the ABC objective I was hunting, and definitely didn't get outside of the range to sort of set up a small cap stock market run, but just trapped in this range here, closing pretty ugly this week, and now looks like there's a gap right there that's probably in the reload zone, 61.8 kind of thing. That's probably going to get tested here. So it does look kind of weak. So unless they turn this thing around here pretty quickly, then it's probably just still stuck in the range, and we're probably going to be testing the lower end of the range now. Let's get into crypto though, which Bitcoin is hilariously just hanging on to support here, which I do find fascinating and pretty healthy. And this is a great example of 38.2s also, actually. This is sort of like I was talking about the DXY. If the DXY gets into 38.2 here like it is and rolls over, then that just means that the bounce was a dead cat bounce, and there's no bull above 38.2, so we're just going to be range bound in the DXY. And you could argue that Bitcoin's doing the same thing here, to the opposite side though, in the sense that we're in this strong, clearly we put some sort of bottom in here. Whether it's the bottom or not, I guess we won't know until hindsight, but clearly some bottom came in, and we did get kind of a weekly W here. As much as it's not the most pretty one ever, it is a weekly W. And we did come into like, I have a green box on here. It might be hard to see on YouTube, but you can see that mountain man of the entire range going all the way back to, before COVID, the last cycle bottom, all the way back in 2018. If I just draw fibs from there to the old highs, like mountain man is way up here at 28,300. And then 78.6 is down here at 17,290. And I think we bottomed about 16. The actual low is, 15.5. So it came down into very much long location in a long-term zoomed out look, hit 78.6, and then put in a weekly W. So that's what we look for in bottoms in general. Anytime a weekly W comes in off 78.6, you have to at least acknowledge that that might be the bottom. It's no guarantee, but either way, we ended up putting in this kind of head and shoulders structure, and never completed that head and shoulders yet. This is that whole idea of 35K being sort of the what I was kind of looking for. Actually, in this move, I thought maybe we'd get up there, and that's basically the head and shoulders target, and also just 38.2s off of the highs, and just big fat round number kind of thing. But point being is, we did put this head and shoulders pattern in. Hopefully you can see that. And we even tested the neckline already once. And now we're back at the neckline again. And it's just, it's hilariously hanging on to this is support here. This is 38.2. So it's got a little off track here. But what I was going to say is, we've established a range here. And now we've come back and checked 38.2s, which is also that head and shoulders neckline, which is clearly like an important level. Like, it's been tested on both sides, support and resistance now. And at the moment, it's acting as support. But point is here, 38.2 is holding. So as long as we're above 38.2 here, if you're just using fibs as your trend indication, I would argue we're still in the uptrend. So we haven't actually, in Bitcoin's case, we haven't even made a lower low here yet, because we're still holding the last low, I believe. Did we actually? No, we didn't. Yeah. So it's funny that we're just sticking above here. And so as long as that's intact, then then the uptrend's still intact. I'm not ready to call range here, although I do think we are carving out this range either way. It's just a question of where the highs of the range are. Like, I do think, the whole accumulation thing here again is still just this sort of range idea where like the next buy opportunity is going to come in somewhere over here. I do think this is what's happening, in my opinion. It was just a question of whether we get to 35 or if this is the high here. And going back to just talking about 38.2s really quick again, on the on the uptrend, 38.2 is holding a support, and on the downtrend of the the macro downtrend off the old highs, we never got to 38.2 yet. So we are still just range bound in that sense. And so maybe we don't get the 35K, but either way, we're still kind of in this range, I think, now. It's just we haven't necessarily made the high of that range yet. And it would be hilarious if they rip it up to 35 still. I mean, this head and shoulders is very valid. And this head and shoulders is valid all the way down into the reload zone, actually, because as long as the right shoulder is holding at 19.5, then this actual head and shoulders pattern is still active. So it's fascinating to see it just hanging on this week, catching a bounce. And we'll see what happens going forward here. But there's no real tells here. All we can really say is, this is support right here. This isn't great short location because you're shorting right into support. And then, to be fair, there's some divergences here that should be minded. We did make a higher high here, and so we had a new high here, but you can see RSI is now very much confirmed divergence, and OBV also very much in confirmed divergence here, with M's coming in on that move to a higher high. So that's kind of that's sort of what's creating this down move here. So those are fully weekly divergences that are now confirmed. So it's hard to get super bullish here, but at the same time, support's holding. Now, in terms of looking at the trend, I would say that, on a weekly chart, you can see the moving averages have now crossed right at the 200 too. We're below the 200 and we're getting a bearish cross as we speak. That's not a great sign. And it wouldn't be a surprise to see price come up and tag that 13 and then roll over. So we have resistance above here, just above where we're sitting. I don't have the trend line on here, but I like this trend line here. And as long as this trend, you can see how we're just sort of hanging on to that trend here now too. So as long as we're above that trend line, the uptrend's still relatively intact in terms of the trend line. And then as long as we're above 38.2, the uptrend's still intact in terms of fibs. And then in terms of price structure, we're still making a higher low here. So you can't argue the uptrend's broken. It's just very much being tested. Those are three different ways to look at trend, by the way. You can use moving averages. You could use 38.2 is a good determination of where we're at in the trend, and you can use trend lines as a great way. Those are three totally different concepts in themselves. And all three of them are pointing towards, yeah, we're kind of hanging on, but barely. Well, the moving averages is the one that's truly broken, actually. Sorry. The trend line's not broken, but the moving averages are broken. So that'd be the first sign that the trend is broken. Anyway, so I'll just add with Bitcoin really quick because we talked about it so much that sure enough, this is such a classic FU move here. We talked about these tails a lot here, just kind of looming as magnets, and we talked about just wanting to wash the liquidity there and run the stops here. Anybody that had their long stops down in here just were a target to get taken out. And so this week, it wasn't a huge surprise at all to see, them take those lows and bounce it pretty hard. So that was like a great long there. And actually, the VIP guys were in there taking longs off that FU move. So classic FU, basically. I mean, they set up what we call equal lows here, right? For these tails all basically at the same level. Was not a huge surprise that they would take that out before moving it higher. And then, of course, I was talking about how that would set up potential divergences. And so now on the bullish side on a daily chart, we at least do have like potential RSI divergence now. And it didn't actually confirm. Dang, it got kind of close. So we need to take out that level here to actually confirm that divergence. But that was, basically what it was almost like obvious. That was, I don't want to say that, but it wasn't a huge surprise that happened. And so now I guess, we are holding support and we do have potential divergence. So that's a good sign in general. Of course, now I have this trend line on here twice because I guess I just didn't have it showing on the weekly chart. So anyway, long story short, though, we're just hanging on to support. Still no real W. Wherever we get like a nice, like it'd be nice to see a W now after we get confirmed RSI divergence. But still no real W here. If anything, like I had this on from another conversation, you have the 200 kind of rolling over here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us trapped in a range for even the rest of the year if it just kind of has to do this a bit to work out the rest of the year. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And then the last tell here is the OBV just kind of pointing down still. It still hasn't W'd. When we get a real W here, we could feel a little bit better about a base being set. So that's Bitcoin, but unfortunately, Ethereum looks worse. And so Ethereum would probably be more telling of whether the altcoin market has any room to move higher here. And I mean, the prognosis isn't great. Let's just say that. Just because Ethereum has broken the trend a little bit more than Bitcoin, and the fact that we have a structural top here now, there's actually an M. It's very big and tall and not easily tradable, but nonetheless, there's an M here working. And so, of course, if we have a range established here from like $900 up to wherever that is, 2150 or so, if that's our range now, then we now have an M at the top of that range. So we should be thinking about like tests of the lower part of the range, which seems to be in progress here. So, I mean, I've been talking about this ABCD, which almost got hit. And really, the trend line confluence here is kind of what I'm most, I think we probably take the trend line off of there. Well, what's the low, actually? 1073.42 and 1071. So actually, it is that one. So so that would be the appropriate trend line there. I mean, it was splitting hairs a little bit there, but it is good to be trying to stay accurate here. I like to personally only draw trend lines off a confirmed structure so that you can see the W here. I'm not a fan of drawing any trend lines that don't have a structure, just because then it's subjective. So for me with trend lines, I really try to only use market structure. So I can draw, like I could draw a top trend line off of this M now if I wanted. And that would give me some sort of resistance points here because I do have that M working. So I can argue that's a valid trend line. So now you can almost see the triangle that's kind of building now. And so, yeah, support's down here against the trend line and completing this ABCD, which would technically be a long location. If you're a harmonic ABCD trader, you'd be hunting that tag, which didn't quite happen yet. And of course, reload zones are down a little lower if we do have to panic dump, but it kind of looks like we're headed that way in general. So Ethereum, going back to the sort of trend ideas, 38.2 is way up here at like 1660. So when we came down and put that tail in there, that was the test of 38.2. And we bounced and tried to stay above, and the bull was still intact there. But you can see now we're starting to lose 38.2 in earnest. We actually closed a few weeks now below 38.2. So, that'd be an example of 38.2 being lost. So using the fibs as the trend indicator here, you'd have to say that the uptrend is broken. Using moving averages as the trend indicator here, we're also below the 200, and we also have bearish cross on the medium and short term. So, you could argue the trend is broken there too. And then trend line's still hanging on. So in the case of Ethereum, we have those 3 trend indicators, and the trend line's the only thing hanging on as support right now, and the other 2 have been broken. So a little worse than Bitcoin. And of course, altcoins are going to probably suffer the same fate as Ethereum in general. So if Bitcoin can hold support where it's at and start taking off, we'll just have to see if Ethereum gets dragged up with it and the rest of the market, or like which often can happen, especially in sort of like sidewaysy sort of bearish market. Bitcoin might take off and leave and just knock everything else down. The last thing I'll say about Ethereum is we don't have the same divergences that Bitcoin has. I mean, we do have a bearish divergence here in RSI that is confirmed. It just never got overbought. But nonetheless, you can see the M came in right through the 50 line actually and broke down. But I'm sorry, that's not a divergence. We weren't making a higher high here. So technically no divergence in RSI. And OBV also an M, but not in divergence. So that's kind of interesting. Whereas Bitcoin is in divergence. These are just M's. So still not great, but not actually in divergence. So I guess long story short, I'm still looking for a tag of this lower level and against the trend line. So that's also $1,500, and it's also the 50% level of the current fib range. So a lot of confluence at $1,500. Probably tag that still. I mean, we did kind of front run it, so I don't know. Maybe the people have front run that level already, and then maybe we'll catch a bounce here from. But to me, it seems like testing the trend line here is the next stop. And of course, RSI is not anywhere near oversold, so lots of room to move down. And also no W's and OBVs, so let's wait for W's there to give us a sign of the bottom. So anyway, those are weekly chart looks at all this stuff. And I guess the general prognosis is sluggish, really. I mean, it is September, and probably just I'm probably not going to get too bullish here the next couple of weeks while I wait for at least some sort of fractal or something to come in. And then, of course, the DXY to top out, which it just does not look like it has any headwind here. It just winded its back ripping. So we'll see if 38.2 on the DXY can cause any resistance here this week. And we'll just have to see where we're at after that. But I think I'll leave that at that and let Paul jump on and talk about our actual coins that we're going to go through today and see whatever's on our list and what our bid situation is. So are you ready to do that?
Yeah, if you switch to my screen.
Let's see, where are you at here? I lost you. Here we go. Okay.
The plan is the same. I don't think we need to talk about every time. But if you want to read the plan, you'll find it on Discord, on weekly crypto review channel. Same simple plan. We left last week at Atom. We spoke about Atom last time. And now we have Link, Monero, Bitcoin Cash, Aptos, and Xlumen. So we'll start with Link. You can see we didn't have a fill on this one. When we did the review, you can see I was targeting this level. And let's see what we have now. So on weekly chart, you can see this really nice going sideways range. Really nice one on weekly. And we didn't touch this level, our buying limit. Was pretty close in June, but we never hit that level. I'm still waiting. It's really okay for from my perspective to keep this order 4.6. I think it's doable. Honestly, looking at the chart, I think we can get even better levels, lower. But let's get our first fill at 4.6. And after that, we can reassess and see if we will get below that level. So nothing to do. Indicators, I don't see anything special. I'm still, I don't know, bullish on Link on until the next bull market. So I'll try to accumulate as much as possible with this strategy. Buying here, sell half on a double, and so on. So on Link, nothing to do. We don't have a fill. Let's wait. Didn't go anywhere, just didn't want to hit our level. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. And the next one is Monero. Let's see what we had on Monero last time. Now you can see what we had. I was waiting at $97. The price was 186. I didn't want to chase here. Let's see what we have at this point. So if I'll go on Monero, let's see where Monero is. Here. And you can see not too much happened after we did we put our limit order. It's still valid in my view. You can see we had the initial W on weekly chart, but now we are trying to put some M's. We still have time until the halvening and maybe even after for a fill at this level. In my view, until I'll see the next weekly W, I'm okay with keeping my limit order at $97. Indicators, like almost all altcoins look the same. You can see. I like this OBV, it's looking bullish, but OBV could look bullish a long period of time and price to go sideways or even down. So on Monero, I still have this limit order here, and I'm okay with that. Nothing to do for the moment. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Next one is Bitcoin Cash. As you can see on the spreadsheet, we had a fill. We had a sell half on a double already. So really nice one. Yeah, we bought here at 134, and I said nice consolidation here. We can get easily a double. And now we are back at the same level. Let's see the chart. Let's see Bitcoin Cash. So you can see we bought here, really nice move up. We got a sell half on a double. We have free coins now. And you can see what I draw here. I have my long reload zone. And you can see the initial level, $130, is close to 78.6. So I'll put another order back at $130. Yeah. So it's that simple for me. I don't need to overcomplicate things. I'll just put another order here. Let's put it with I don't know, yellow this time. Yeah. I could put another 0.5 here. Let's put $130. I think the same level is okay for us. Yeah. We have free coins. We want to reload. If we'll reload here and the market will go even lower, we still have 0.5 to buy the weekly W. So we are in a really nice position now with Bitcoin Cash. Let's see what will happen until the halvening, until next year. Let's wait and see. So really nice position to be with sell half on a double already filled, in the position to reload, and then still having 0.5% to buy even lower. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. And the next one is Aptos. On Aptos, you can see we had a fill, but we didn't have sell half on a double. So let's see Aptos. And if you look, this one had a nice pump when it was listed on Binance. And now we're at 78.6 from this pump, you can see. Yeah, pump, dump, and then you can see here. We can draw from this level, but overall I like this level. You can see we have a fill already. The market is tagging this level and trying to find out if we'll accept below and go to $1 or we'll form a W here and we'll go higher. You can see really nice OBV, I like it. Nothing else, not enough history on weekly chart to find more on indicators. We don't have sell half on a double, but we should have the limit order set in the market. So $5.5, $11 should be the limit order should be already in the market. To buy another thing now, I don't think is the case. If you want to set an alarm, I don't think you can set a limit order. You can set an alarm here. And if the market will go all the way down to $1, then we should buy another 0.5%. I don't know exactly if the Binance will allow you to set that limit order. Yeah. So let's wait and see what will happen. I don't think is the case to be in any hurry to buy another 0.5. If you are on a different plan, dollar cost averaging, okay, you can buy month by month. But with this plan, we bought here, sell half on a double if will be the case. Another level here, if we'll see a weekly W between these two levels, we can buy at the retest. Let the weekly W form, break out and retest, and we can buy and forget about this order. For the moment, nothing to do, nothing else to do. Okay, let's take a look at the last one, I guess. And after Aptos, we said we'll talk about X-Lumen. Let's see, X-Lumen, we have a fill and we have a shot. Let's take a look at the chart. And you can see the chart on what we did last time. Where was the market? We had the LJ, the other side of the trend line. We had this level. I said, okay, it's a good level to buy even here. Was retesting this level. We had a lot of support below this level. I was okay in my view to buy this level. And let's see what happened. Okay, let's take a look at X-Lumen. So we bought, we sold half on a double, and now we should reload. And you can see I'm waiting below with a 0.5 order, but I don't want to reload here. I'll reload at the same level if it will be the case. I'll set an alarm at this level. I could set an alarm, and I'll do it now. I'll set an alarm here. If the market will touch this level and I see a bullish divergence and everything, okay, I could reload here. If not, I'll wait for the next weekly W. If the market will go straight down, then I'll buy this level. If we'll go below this level, then that's it. Nothing we can do. Well, we bought what we said we'll buy, and we should wait for sell half on a double again. So we have 3 coins now. So just for an example, we have 1% again to buy 2 orders if we'll buy 0.5. So we are in a pretty good position on X-Lumen. I don't think this is the bottom and from this level will go straight up. No, I'm thinking on X-Lumen, looking only at this chart, I'm thinking we should go sideways. This was just a phase up, clean some stop losses back in the range, clean some stop losses below, and so on. And overall, up and down, ranging market, shaking everyone out from this market. That's how after everyone, almost everyone will be shaken out, then the bull market will start. If they are still beginners in the market, if they are still scared money in the market, they will shake the market up and down until everyone will give up. Only the strong ones will remain in this in crypto markets. Diamond hands, let's call it that way. If you bought here in the top, it's pretty hard to have diamond hands here. But maybe if you bought the right percentage and you don't feel the pressure, then it's okay. So that was the last one, X-Lumen. I'm still keeping an eye on these projects, the new ones. For the moment, nothing to add. I'm trying to form a new plan, a dollar cost averaging plan on new projects. I'll post that plan for premium members, and I don't know, at the beginning of the next week, let's hope. I want for me a new plan, an investment plan to buy only new projects because they don't have selling pressure. This plan will not be discussed too much in this live stream and will not be available for everyone. It will be only for premium members. but I'm doing it especially for me because I want to participate in all the new projects I see on, at least what I see on Binance. Maybe in time, if I'll see really good levels, I could go on chain even on smaller exchanges to buy some shitcoins. But for the moment, it's okay to buy what is already listed on Binance. Keep in mind, we are not financial advisors. So what you do with your money, it's 100% your responsibility. If you want to follow this plan, to take this plan, to make a copy, to follow this one, yeah, you can make a copy from here. It's free. Everything about this plan is free. Yeah. If you are not a Discord member, DM me or Kevin, or look at the description of this video and you'll see a link how to join our community. Just ask on Discord to be verified. After you get that role verified, you'll have access on everything. It's free on our Discord, and you'll see there are some channels, there is some content for you, even if you are not a trader. Premium part is for traders, at least a swing trader, people who actively participate in the market. So if you want premium membership, keep in mind we are pretty active. I'm live streaming every day in New York session. Sometimes I'll post the London session also. Kevin is in that meet. A lot of traders, they are in that meet. Kevin is doing a review of the market, usually at the end of the day. So we are pretty active in the premium part. But it's a different story. It's up to you if you want to join or not. Today I'll be pretty short. I have something to do after. I'll close. I'll stop streaming. I'll let Kevin close the live stream. One problem before I go, you can see this site and other sites, they are still not working. I don't know. Twitter did something and nothing is working. I spoke to Kevin and I said, next time we'll collect all the retweets. Yeah, we'll take all the retweets and we'll put him only once, and we'll choose three winners for 3 weeks. I think it's pretty fair from our side to do that. So next Sunday, retweet this week. Next Sunday, we'll take all the retweets and we'll pick not one winner, but 3 of them. Sorry, DMAC, I know you wanted to see if you won this time. You'll have to wait until next Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can hear me, Kevin?
Yeah.
I'll let you take all the requests.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I need to go, so I'll close everything and I'll let Kevin take all the responsibility for this live stream until the end.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. Yeah, so we can't quite. Twitter has really kind of screwed the whole giveaway stuff. We looked through a bunch of them, couldn't find any that work, and we'll figure something out in the meantime. But yeah, like Paul said, don't worry. We'll just compile. We'll still give 3. We didn't do it last week, and we're not doing it this week. So next week we'll try to have something ready, and we'll just give away three things, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I guess with all the changes at Twitter, they've somehow destroyed the ability for those sites to use, I don't know, the API or something. So it is what it is. But appreciate everybody retweeting and joining. So we certainly won't leave you hanging there. But otherwise, I don't know if I don't have any requests in our actual request room. But if anybody wants to look at anything, throw it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just mention this one that we were talking about on Friday that I do think I want to go and buy. I haven't bought anything yet, but this ALCX, which I'm looking at on Crack, and I do think it is on Binance too, though. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty much the same chart here on Binance, but funny enough about this thing, for one, there's only like 2.2 million total supply or max supply on this, which is very low. It is just some DeFi thing, or it's like a governance token for DeFi, I think. But I'll just mention it really quick, and in the fact that it's like I mean, it's very indicative of the crypto market in general here. It's not like it's a pound the table, go buy it today thing. Although it did pop, like we were talking about it on Friday, and then they ended up running it a little later in the day, and then it's just come right back down basically. But there's certainly no weekly W here. Well, that's not totally true, but I'll get into that in a second here. But point being, it's like you gotta. I don't think it's not set up perfectly to go and think that you need to buy this thing right away. But at the same time, it does have the things that I kind of look for. I mean, location wise, we are just sort of making new lows. It is a slightly newer name. It's only been around for about, well, it looks like a year and a half or so. Uh, and it's just been grinding down hard, but there actually is kind of a weekly W in there now. Now that it's popped up here, we'll see how it closes this week. Maybe it'd be nice to see it close somewhere strong. Hopefully it doesn't just give back the entire candle here by the end of the day. But whether you call that a weekly W or not, I mean, it's not my favorite, I'll say that, but it's not really on the line chart. There's trying. It's not my favorite, so I'm not going to call it a weekly W just yet, but nonetheless, it does have nice OBV divergence, which is obviously something I'm always looking at. And actually, there's a double divergence here, really, because we have, this divergence is now. Well, actually, it's not true to say that it's confirmed. We'll have to wait for the close this week, but it looks like it's going to confirm here. Nice big volume week. But there's also divergence going all the way back to here in like last June, because price has just been solidly making lower lows, and OBV has just stayed in divergence the whole time. So actually, if we close up here today, then there's actually a massive confirmation. There's a div all the way going back to there that will actually confirm in terms of taking out this high, is kind of what I was thinking here. So that's like a big, massive W. So anyway, there's a nice divergence there on OBV that I like, and also whatever's driving volume this week. Clearly they've had on Binance here the biggest volume week since they started. In terms of buying it, I do want to buy it. I'm not going to go buy it right here, and really I'm going to just kind of wait for a better W, but I do want to buy it. And it does look ready to go. And it also has a lot of 6 potential divergences shown up on this indicator. Of course, it's interesting. It's calling OBV potential, which it technically is potential. I wonder, it'll be nice to see if this thing's accurate and see how we close today and see if that OBV turns to confirmed. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these turn to confirmed at the end of the week today with this pop here today. So point being, just location is just sort of grinding lower, and so there's nowhere to really draw fibs off of this, but I do like the looks of it. I'd rather just see a weekly W come in though to firm it up, but it does look pretty good to me. And actually, just looking at the moving averages, you can see how much work needs to be done to truly change the direction of this thing. So it's a good example of how, even like we're kind of like on this candle now, like if we're going back to here, this is like sort of where we're currently at, where like the 2 moving averages are still pretty wide apart, and then we just came up into resistance, tried to break through, and then they crossed, and then we couldn't get going there. So the first attempt at changing the trend here did not work, and now we're sort of back to that level here where it's like, do we keep pushing higher to get these moving averages tighter and eventually crossing? That would be sort of ideal for the bulls, and then maybe we can buy pullbacks after that, and that'll probably come in about the same time as the weekly W. But right now, it's just sort of no rush here. But I like what I see there. It's just one that we started talking about on Friday that I thought I'd share, and looks like Elvis wants to look at SXP, which I feel like I was just looking at that one. Yeah, this one, I mean, clearly there was doubles to be had here. It looks like on the last breakout. I don't know if you would have bought, if you happen to be there buying that breakout, it looks like you would have gotten a double here. Price came up to like 94, very close. Actually, I don't know. 96 would have been the double level. Or wait, did I just do my math right there? No, sorry. Ignore my horrible math right there. You would have, yeah, you could have bought that W and gotten a double. And I feel like I did do that, but I getting mixed up with another name now. Let's see if I or no, SXT. Yeah, I don't have this one on Qcoin, I guess. Yeah, Solar. I don't have this one. Um, I guess STX, I think, is the one I'm mixing that up with. But nonetheless, let me get back to where I was on Binance here. What can we say about here? I mean, first of all, I like that weekly W there. And I don't know if OBV truly was in divergence back there. It looks like it could have been, but yeah, so we did actually get OBV div through that period. Um, is that the Yeah, that's through there. So this is like that's exactly what I would like to see. Of course, that's in the past now, but we got OBV divergence coming in with the weekly W here, and also you can kind of see the moving averages too, also crossing during that same weekly W candle. So that's why moving averages is a little hard to time that, but technically, I mean, when I say, and if you're trying to use these moving averages to determine a change in trend, you kind of have to accept that you're actually sort of going to be a little late. And so, really what's more important is watching them converge here and starting to cross and just kind of getting ready, as opposed to like for example, right here, like when this W came in right here, and you just see it coming up into the 13, but these two things are super wide and pointing down. That's going to have a lot more resistance, in my opinion, than something like here, where at least we're starting to converge, and then as they getting closer and closer. But it's pretty hard to. I mean, you would have had a whole week, really, technically. Well, that's not totally true. The cross came in and then didn't close. Oh, it did. I don't know if it didn't close until this candle, so you would have had to be there watching. But point being, with moving averages, they are lagging a little bit, so it's more like you use them to sort of get a general sense of the change, and that's why I like convergences of the moving average. Like as it started converging through here, that's just telling me that the trend is trying to turn, or it's trying to bottom here, and so I should start hunting potentially pullbacks after that. And if the cross came in better, great. Now, that's all the past, of course, so that was a nice trade if anybody was there buying that W, for example. And now we've just obviously come all the way back down, so clearly we now have good location. We made it down to 88.6 of the range and below, and we're holding the old lows so far. Not really a weekly W, and I don't really love OBV having not turned yet. So, me personally, I want to see at least a W in OBV. Like I have location already. I want to just see a W in OBV and then a weekly W, which those two things aren't the case just yet. And if anything, we just came up into, we have bearish cross moving average, and we're getting rejected at the 13 here. So it's just too early, in my opinion. But good location, and you can see the potential divergences coming in. There's 4 potential divergences here. So, like I said, just for me personally, I'll be waiting for that W to come in OBV, and then a weekly W in price. Because in my opinion, I mean, the move's over, right? They pump and dumped this thing. There's no reason to rush in right here. Sure, if you got a double off here and you want to just reload, then that seems, I wouldn't fault anybody for that. And truly, if you love this name, I wouldn't fault anybody for buying right here. You're certainly not chasing. It's just like, do you have anything telling you that it's going to go tomorrow? Like, I don't really see this thing just pumping tomorrow. And me personally, I'm still sort of in the phase of waiting for W's here. I'm not really like knife catching or buying levels. So it's just not ready yet. So this looks like there's a handful more in the chat, so we'll just go through those. And I imagine they're all going to kind of look like this. I see Lit on there, which is one that I thought looked pretty good here. But we'll start with ACA. Let's see here. They're all going to look, kind of similar here, basically. But this one didn't get a weekly W. Of course, the last one had a nice setup. Well, my setup came in on that last one in the past, and this one not so much. We never got. Actually, I'm just kind of going through the same thing. In the last rally, we actually never got OBV divergence, and we never got a W either in OBV or in price here. So there wasn't really great reasons to be buying here. I mean, if you were sitting here looking at it when it was down here at the lows, making new lows, sure, it did bounce, but I don't see any reason to have been a buyer right here, to be honest. I mean, I just see the moving averages pointing down strongly, and I see no W's and OBV, and I don't see any market structure. So back there, I didn't have any reason to buy it, and it did pop, and now we've just come back against those lows, and so it's just a question of now, we're probably in a reload zone there. Can we actually put in a bottom now? There's no bottom here yet. And I guess the high is that one. So, I mean, clearly we came down into 88.6. Well, not quite, but 78.6 and below. So, I mean, nibbles in that area is fine. But really, I mean, this is me in my sort of non-aggressive viewpoint of the altcoin market right here. I don't feel like I need to go be putting on trades every week right now. I don't feel like I have to go buy stuff. I don't really particularly feel rushed in any way here. And like when I look at this, I can confirm that just saying my setup's definitely not in. I do see OBV pointing higher, which is a nice thing, but we technically haven't even W'd yet until we take out these highs here. So maybe that happens, and that'll at least give us a W here in OBV, not in divergence, but a W. But really, I'd rather just see this thing spend the rest of the year working itself out and eventually putting in some kind of W with like some sort of OBV W or potentially divergence or something. And you can kind of see how the moving average is the same thing story. They're going to take some time to kind of do whatever they're going to do and actually start converging. And when they get closer together, that's when I'll be more interested, somewhere over here. And I'd just say that about all of these. Because if I've learned anything about calling bottoms is you almost always call them too early. Like every once in a while you might catch something like this and buy a V bottom and bang a double out. That certainly happened to somebody. Somebody probably bought there and maybe got doubles off. But in terms of calling cyclical bottoms, that's why I like things like moving averages, because they just force me to be more patient. It takes a long time for this to work out, but right here you're just buying into resistance right above you. So like, sure, you could buy at 46 here and you might get a double off if it shoots up here, and ironically that would make a W. If if price launches here, we'll have a nice wide W, and then I would be looking to buy the pullback. But to buy it right here, like, sure, you might get a W, but chances are you're going to have to just hold for a while, and you don't really have anything to base a trade idea on, in my opinion, other than just location and basically what I call knife catching. You're just buying against the lows. That's fine. But in this current environment, I just don't see any rush personally to do that. So it's fine. It's just wait for W's is what I would do. Neo, old school classic shitcoin. Can we start calling these classic shitcoins now? I think Neo qualifies as a classic shitcoin. It's been around since like 2017, I think, around there probably. It's the Chinese Ethereum. Not a particularly good place for me to trade this thing at this point. I don't think I know it's not on Binance or I'm sorry, on Coinbase or Kraken. And it looks almost the exact same as that ACA. I mean, there's more history here, so you can actually see the 200, which is way up here, which is kind of nice. You could bang a double out with the move back into the 200 moving average resistance. But otherwise, it's very similar to that ACA. Never truly got a weekly W back here, so we're not really buying against a previous market structure if we're buying here. If there was a W there, I can justify a trade like that a lot more than the fact this is still V bottom, because I do like buying previous market structure. Did get nice OBV divergence coming in through there. And even, the W, like even the W came in first back here. It wasn't quite ready to turn. And then we went into divergence, which actually confirmed here. And that's nice. And of course the move afterwards, but not really a W. And then now we're back to just back against the lows here, currently holding the lows, but also still that's we have potential OBV divergence here now. So this is a little bit farther along than that ACA. I see a divergence trying to come in right there as we've dipped to a new low here. Well, of course, that divergence doesn't confirm until we take out this high and make that W, but it's trying. So, hopefully a little bit of uppiness will confirm that divergence. And then I'm still going to wait for a weekly W. There's technically a cheeky little W, I guess, down in there, but I don't really think that's much to work with. It's just mostly wicks and tails anyway, and some dojis in there. So like on a line chart, that's not going to show up as a W really. Yeah. Uh, so the same thing. It's just too early. I don't know. That's the boring part of this show right now in this climate is like, yeah, is it a good trade location? 100% without a doubt, good trade location. I mean, you can see the, like in the longer term sort of history of Neo, it's technically holding the all time lows right now, which, it goes back to the COVID low. I'm assuming that, yeah, March 2020. So, like, and it's sitting at 715 right now, but actually that low's at 389. So there's still kind of a lot of room to test that low here. Could easily come off another 40% or so just to get down and test that low. But point being, you can't fault, like, location is good. I mean, you can see the upside is pretty big here. Neo topped out at like $150 almost last time around. So buying it like, $6 and just looking for a move back to 50% levels even is going to be a 10xer, which is insane. And that's kind of stuff we look at. That's why we like altcoins, is they can do that kind of stuff. And you can see even going back to 2017, it even made a higher high. Now I don't know if that means can we expect a lower high in the next cycle? Maybe, but you don't need. I mean, that's what's cool about this is regardless of how big of a bull market we get, in the future, like I don't know if we're gonna have a new highs kind of bull market or just sort of a range bull market, or if that makes any sense, like just basically getting back to 50% levels of the previous highs. But in this case, that's $73. So, even buying right here, it's a 10x or back to the 50% level. So you don't need new highs to make money going forward. So in general, though, same story though. You can see the moving averages across bearish. There's no weekly W. I do like OBV. It looks stronger than that ACA, and actually OBV's looked very promising all the way since back here. We're in divergence back here that is confirmed. So like this down move here confirmed that divergence. So I like that. I just need a W in price really to work my. I mean, I can't trade this actually very easily. So speaking for everyone, I'm just saying I would like to see a weekly W here before I got super excited. But damn, lots of upside for sure. And I don't know the state of Neo these days, but it's got a bunch more, so I'll keep moving on here. I did mention, I think, lit even last week, or maybe I mentioned it in my Tuesday show. Of course, I am doing like a crypto show on Tuesdays now too. At basically the stock market close, so that's I think that's 20 UTC, and it's also on this channel and open to the public. So kind of watch that if you want to basically do kind of what I'm doing now, just sort of looking through some of the names that we're not talking about on the Sunday show, because typically, this show we're kind of focused more on the bigger market cap coins, just by nature of the fact that we're sort of starting at the top and working our way down, and because that plan really allows for around 100 names at 1% per name. That's basically the top 100 market cap coins. So the Tuesday show, I'd like to get in a little more into the weeds and get into some other stuff that might not make that list. But anyway, this is one I've pointed out just because it has very nice OBV. General just trending higher OBV, which is always nice to see. But we actually have divergences too coming in if you zoom in a little bit. I mean, currently the lows are back here at 38 cents and price is sitting at 65. So there's about, 40-50% risk to test the lows here. But we recently made a new low here, and OBV is actually in confirmed divergence because it last week actually confirmed on this candle here as we broke out. Where's the best way of looking at it? I mean, technically the W is actually, it's just easier to draw it, I guess. There's this W here like that's confirmed, and that makes that divergence. There's also this divergence back here that's also confirmed, because there's a bigger W here. So double OBV divergence. And that's sort of like step one. Location. Well, step one would be location, which is clearly good here too. I mean, we're getting down against the lows. You could draw fibs off the lows here and just see that we're, probably below 78.6 pretty easily. Yeah, 78.6 is, well, we're sitting right at 78.6 basically, just a little bit below it. And we did test 88.6 already. And so basically reason 1 and 2 are in, then there's lots of couple confirmed divergences and lots of potential divergences. So yeah, the reason 1 or 2 are very in, much confirmed now. It's just I don't see a weekly W here, so to be patient and wait for a weekly W is always prudent for me. So wherever that comes in, it's probably going to come in about the same time these moving averages. Same story, they're going to kind of converge here somehow. Maybe it happens a little sooner, but they're kind of wide here and offering. They're basically just acting as resistance here right now. The 13 EMA is still resistance. So when the W comes in, you'll see that same thing happen with the moving averages probably. So I'm definitely looking to be a buyer over here, and that kind of makes sense because like even the way I drew it right here, that I just happened to make January 1st the breakout, and I remember last that's what happened last year, right? It was like January 1st happened and the markets just turned on a dime and started going up. Doesn't mean it's going to happen for sure this year, but it's not an uncommon scenario. And because we're heading right into the halving, and we should be looking for a bottom into the end of the year here. Basically, it just sort of seems like that's kind of the trajectory I'm on, at least. And I do think there's probably going to be a little bit of tax loss selling in crypto. There's probably people that are going to be underwater here after buying kind of the tops of the rally that sort of happened at the beginning part of the year and stuff. So those people might be liquidating, driving prices down further. And I'm looking for a bottom heading into the halving, so I think it'll probably come in right here. I just don't really particularly feel like rushing into it right here. Like, sure, maybe this thing doubles overnight, and you get a free position. It could totally happen. It's just not really. I don't really want to just pile in here. I don't feel the momentum. At least like even in the first part of the year, even though it wasn't like a bull market, there was a lot of momentum. I mean, even just you could just feel it. Really, there was more upwards momentum for altcoins in general, and they were making doubles and stuff. Now it's just like the occasional thing might be popping, and it usually comes right back down if it does. But in general, even just mostly red on the screen right here today. Just not a lot. There's like not even anything popping hard on this list right here. It looks like there's nothing even in double digits to the upside really. Couple double digits. This ACLX popped like 30% yesterday, and it's coming back down. So again, point being is just patience. I would make some shitty Guns N' Roses joke, but that song kind of annoys the hell out of me. And that talk about showing my age. I don't know how many Guns N' Roses fans watch this show. Anyway, what else can I say about all lit? I do like this one in general. This is one that I've highlighted as one of the stronger ones on my list, to be honest. Like that's why I was in blue here, because I was kind of marking these as blue. Last week I guess it was just kind of those are sort of the ones that looked kind of decent. But in general, I'll just kind of like this. No W yet. It's possible we're carving out some kind of head and shoulders. It'd be interesting to see if we get bottoms that look kind of like this. This is what like crypto stocks kind of look like, but I don't know, maybe that's like a head and shoulders. So we pop up here and then come back down and make a bottom more like that, which would also just sort of coordinate with the moving average cross too. But I could definitely see that kind of scenario here. So it won't really be weekly W. It would be like head and shoulders, but still same rules apply here. That's your buy location. I really do think that's, now I could end up being wrong, but in a general sense, I'm looking to buy the dip into the end of the year. So somewhere around there. Makes sense to me, at least sounds good. It might not be right, but it sure sounds good. Anyway, those are Hanya's names. And thanks, Hanya. And in general, Hanya, your names look all pretty good. I think you, in general, understand the game now. What else is in this list here? XVG. Oh, that's another. Is that Verge? XVG? Old school one. Oh, Neo was actually Ant shares back in the day. That's hilarious. Yeah, and Gas, Dalmoody. We could look at Gas really quick just for the fun, and then we already looked at XLM actually during that was one of the names on our list today, but we could still. That's XLM. Honestly, is one of the nicest looking charts in crypto. I still believe. been saying that for a while, and I still think it's true. It's one of the most solid looking bottoms that's already formed. So maybe it's worth looking at that, just to point it out. And then Rune is on here. So we'll look at XVG really quick, which is, I think that's Verge, right? Yeah, this is an old schooler. Wow, what happened there? I have not been participating in Verge because this is another one that's pretty tough for US participants. So I don't know. This is a good example of it. Yeah, there was no real setup there on a weekly chart, but sure, obviously, if you were long, then this thing, geez, it made quite a move actually from like, I don't know, 16, 17 cents up to, or sorry, 0.006. Is that what I said? 0.0016, yeah. Up to 0.0099. I don't know what I'm saying here. Big move. Quite the move here, and now it's just being taken back. And this kind of, this is the state of crypto right now. This was this was, I guess, the started right at I mean, actually, this is June of 23, so this wasn't really the beginning of the year rally. Looks like we had to Verge didn't do much right at the beginning of the year. Took a while here, but nonetheless, once it got going, now it's just taking the entire move back, which kind of seems to be happening to anything pumping right now. And now there's just not like much to say, honestly. Like we never got a weekly W, so I can't really buy against, I do like to buy, like I was saying earlier, if there was a nice W here, then moves down into that W seem pretty solid to me. But in the case that this is a V bottom, it's just sort of telling me that probably have to test lower ultimately anyway. There's like a fair value gap below this tail here at 26. So, somewhere down in here, it seems like likely to be tested. However, I mean, I can't really say anything else about that. We obviously now, of course, this thing has tons of history. Depending on where you go look at it, it's been around for a while. So I suppose maybe we could try looking at it. I don't know, maybe probably not against US. Well, yeah, even on Bitfinex here, yeah. So it looks like we're all the way back down to making new lows. From at least the 2020 bottom. Of course, this thing was like zero back. I mean, it even has more lows. If you went and looked against like Bitcoin or something. I mean, this is the one that, Brian Beamish famously talks about buying at 2 sats. Like this thing was like, way lower in the past, like on Bittrex or something. Yeah. That was 2016. So yeah, it got down to like 2 sats here, and look at that move. Fuck. That was like classic 2017, shitcoin rally there. So looking at it against Bitcoin, the chart looks almost the same as against US dollar. But the point I'm making is like, yeah, sure, we're down against the lows, but there's still more downside here, and there's no real setup yet. So I'm gonna go back to the US dollar chart just cause. But I mean, hopefully, like, I don't know. I don't mind going through these, but I mean, there's no reason why you can't do this yourself. Or hopefully, if you watch the show, you'll learn some of these basic things, which are just essentially what we're talking about is trying to call bottoms here in cycles, like long-term bottoms. And of course, this thing did the first thing that we want to see happen, which is just fall apart and come all the way back down and start rounding out and putting in like a longer base here. So that's like a good sign. And of course, it's against the old lows. But in terms of buying it right here, I just can't find any reason to be a buyer. I can draw fibs off of the lows and tell you that we're in a reload zone or in, below 61.8. And in this case, we're sitting right at 78.6. So anytime anybody buys 78.6, I'm not going to ever, you're not chasing. So I couldn't fault anybody for buying there, but you have to accept that there is a fair bit of downside risk still. And there's no reason why this thing can't just take a whole long ass time to kind of do something like that down the road, which is, I prefer to be a buyer over here. That's just sort of in general how I like to work. I like to wait for my divergence and then wait for my W. And then I like to, either buy the pullback of the W or buy the W itself as it breaks out. That's sort of my MO. So like what I would have to say, this is too early, Like if we were already in a bull market, then I would be much more likely to hit levels as this thing came back down. Like, I would hit 78.6 here. Or if you already got doubles off and you want to buy back your coins here, that makes sense. But to me, I just see OBV basically pointing down, still no W, and I see a lot of downside risk here with no Ws. So I just have location to base my trade on. I can't say the moving averages are cross bullishly. I mean, now that we had that big pop, um, so they're kind of coming back together here. Let's just see what happens as price rounds out here a little bit. Usually, when a big move happens like this and it comes straight back down, typically it doesn't just rip right again. You know, once it gets down below reload zones, it's not. I'm not saying it never happens, but it typically the move's over. So it's like now it's just got to come back down and set up again. You can't really rely on the past here. Just also because there's not even a W. So I don't love it. It's just patience, patience, patience. I'll keep saying it. Verge pump Fusion 27 off of John. Yeah, John McAfee. He did pump that one. Yeah, that was back like during his coin of the week pumps. And yeah, this was one of them. Because this, well, and it was Pornhub too. Remember, because Verge became, you know, a huge part of that rally. I guess was it this year? That's 2020, so it was back here. But um, unless I'm mixing that up, if Pornhub was 2020 or 2017, I can't remember. But I think it was 2017. But either way, yeah, it became like a coin for. It might have even been rumors, and it wasn't even real. I don't remember specifically, but it pumped hard on the idea that it was going to be like Pornhub's coin, which is hilarious. I mean, it's cheap right here. It just could be cheaper, I think is the best way to look at it. So even if you did really want to buy Virtue, I mean, this is a great time to think about like dollar cost averaging and stuff. Like, you don't have to just go put all your money in this right here. You could just, I mean, dollar cost averaging can be a great way to just slow you down and force you to be more patient. And you could just start taking little nibbles here. And then that way, when the bottom does come in, you'll be averaged in decently, as opposed to just going and, you know, putting on whatever your allotment is for this name. You know, if you go throw it all in here right here, you're probably going to have to go underwater a lot. Chances are. Oh, what else we got? Rune. Well, I was going to look at gas really quick. There's probably not a lot to say about it, but gas is Neo's. Whoops. That's related to Neo, so we'll just pull it up here for a second. I mean, it's not a lot of data on Binance. Maybe look at it. Go to Qcoin. I don't know what's happened in the past, but you know, same story. Lots of divergences trying to come in. OBV looks really healthy, just like Neo. No W. So a little farther along though. Like you know, just kind of comparing this to the last one. The difference of this is, you know, the big move was back here, and now we've taken back the move. We're a lot farther along in the setting up again after the last pump. I mean, you could kind of count this, I suppose. Maybe doubles were had there. It doesn't close, but not quite. But it wasn't as extreme of a pump anyway. It was just like a wick up for 1 week. So at least this is farther along and setting up again. You can start seeing the divergences coming in, and actually even OBVs and potential divergence there, just like Neo was. So it needs to confirm. And then we also have nice uppy OBV in general. But, you know, the same thing I do it on all these. I still think it's, you know, maybe the W's right here, and so it comes in like that. Otherwise, it'll come in later. But I'm still waiting for that. Like, you can see what happened here. That's a perfect example of a W. So something like that. In this particular case, well, we still had OBVW, so that's enough. And that was actually a divergence there. That's interesting. So there's a good example. I'll zoom in a little bit. You know, very similar price action actually right through here as right now. So, you know, we made a lower low through here, and you can see how OBV put in a W through there. So we actually got confirmed divergence on this candle this week. No W's here, and you can see how the moving averages were just resistance still and pointing down and starting to converge though. And then, you know, if you were to just been patient enough, that was October 31st. It would have taken quite a while, but you could have just, you know, calmly waited for this W to come in. And then they gave you a couple weeks to buy the pullback there just against the W level. And of course, then it ripped pretty hard. So that's the scenario I want to see exactly. You know, even if I ditch the moving, and the moving averages too were converging tightly. This is a perfect example of how if you waited for the cross, you're going to miss it. but at least try to be mindful of the fact they're getting close to crossing as opposed to looking like something like over here where they're just wide apart and pointing down. Here we were building that sideways while the W came in. It's classic how. Anyway, this is exactly what I look for. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I was going to change that to green. Not that it matters really, but for the bulls. I mean, wherever you bought, that's a whole month of a confirmed breakout to enter at that level. Now is a similar thing, but it's like we don't have the confirmation yet. Is the only difference. So we have moved to low and then OBV and potential divergence right here, but not confirmed, and certainly no weekly W's. So it's just starting, but it just needs. I want to see it look just like that. Honestly, that's a nice weekly W. So until it looks like that, I'm not gonna love it. Anyway, we're getting an hour and a half actually, and I don't know what it is, but we started our school on Monday, or sorry, on Friday. So that's cool. Our little course is actually in effect here. So, and I just the first session was ridiculously long. So I don't know what it is, but I try to keep it brief and never can. I don't know what it is. But this show I'll probably wrap up here pretty quick. I think I covered all the names here. There's XRD we can look at. It looks like that Constantine has. What else do I see in the chat? XLM. We already looked at Rune, XLM, Rune, and XRD. I'll just really quickly look at those. I'll start with like Rune because we did already look at XLM. So I'll just do these really quick. I already have my drawn on here, so I'll keep it simple. And Rune has been strong here, and I do have a long off this W, and was looking for a W up a little higher. I guess here's my average cost is at like 116, so never quite got up there last time. My double level's up here somewhere. Probably might get it here. So clearly the W is back here. You can see like W's and OBV and all that stuff, and then the weekly W. And it took off, and now it never came back to reload zones so far, so it never got back down into these levels just yet. I guess last time I was talking about that, I was basically just kind of drawing the same thing, like letting this sort of play out. Now, of course, this rally is not over yet, so this will be down the road wherever we exhaust here. Then I'll be waiting for the next buy opportunity somewhere over here. That just hasn't happened yet. So for the moment, just got to draw your fibs, and wherever this tops out, you can just repeat the process. Because right now it's in the current rally at the moment, and it's even just turning. You can see how the cross and the moving averages is right here. This thing could go way higher at this point. I will say it looks like a head and shoulders, so we're heading up into the neckline, which would sort of not be resistance per se, but just not a huge surprise that it would turn over here. So maybe if this is a head and shoulders, it's going to do something like that, and we will run into traffic right here as we get up against this high, which is what happened last time, a month or two, whatever that is, a month ago. So if this thing breaks out here, then there's nothing to really stop it from moving quite a bit higher. There's plenty of upside here. You can kind of see it's just down against the old low. So it looks really good if you're already long. If you're not already long, then you got to just wait. Let this exhaust and then have to set up again. That's all I can say about that. What else did I say? XRD or XRD? Yeah, Radix. I guess QQuen is the place. Is there somewhere else with more? I don't know if Bitfinex maybe has more. Oh yeah, Bitfinex does have some more. We'll look at it here. Not that I don't know who trades on Bitfinex specifically, but I mean, they have been around for a while. Just more history. I mean, I like the base back here, so at least we're coming back into the old weekly W. So we do have a nice structure back here. It's very wide and tall. So I don't know about just going and hitting that level. I do like that in theory, like just basically buying the old W breakout level. But in this really tall W, I think you could do better. And clearly, like, price, did have a little bit of a reaction there, but couldn't maintain it. And now we're just back down here. with what looks like kind of a weekly W. I mean, it's got a lower candle body right side, but it is, it's W-ish, and that's nice. And clearly, the location is going to be okay, even against the current range. So draw my fibs here. We're below 78.6. The location is good. And OBV, I don't love. You can see back here, we at least W'd out at the same time as the pop. I think that low's lower. Yeah, it looks like the left side's a lower low. So at least got kind of a wide W base sitting there, but now we're just pointing straight down. And we are making new lows, so we've set up the potential for divergence, but it's not there. OBV just kept going lower. So until there's a W here, I don't really see any rush in this. I mean, I do like that it's kind of working its way out again and trying to set up again, but moving averages are pointing bearish. I'll just wait. I mean, I'm going to say that about most of these. It gets repetitive, I suppose, but really just, I want to see a W. I mean, this is a pretty wide one, or I shouldn't say wide. Wide's good. Tall, I mean, tall, tall makes it just, there's nothing wrong with a tall weekly W per se. It's just that you're going to have more downside risk to have the bottom of the W tested, because it's just, I keep saying wide on accident, but I mean tall just in the sense that it's not tight. I'd rather see like a tight little W come in down here with OBVW and just wait for it to happen. There's always a chance it takes off right here, but I think the chances are it won't. Like, probability is that it won't do that. Especially, again, let's get through September, 2 more weeks of September, which is probably going to be down. Maybe we get some sort of like bounce before rolling over again into the end of the year, but we also might just sideways grind into the end of the year, especially again if the DXY can't roll over here at 38.2, and if it just keeps pushing higher, then we're probably going to have to see just more more what should I say, more just sort of, I don't know if selling pressure, but just no wind at your back kind of thing. I guess Delmoody, you mentioned fun, so I don't know. Is fun even still around? What did I just do here? Got it in full screen. Fun fair. It is still around. Trying to make a new low here. OBV's in divergence. That's good. So we have divergence. Nice volume week a little while back there, and so this one has divergence at least, just no W. Location's clearly good. Try to keep it quick, but yeah, you can see the W in OBV right there, like in divergence. So just you could see, I mean, you could just see it trending down by the moving averages is all I'll say. If you just want to keep this simple, if you're trying to learn how to do this, one of the simplest things you can do is, I mean, first of all, just get into the habit of looking for this pattern that we see from cycle to cycle, which is just, it kind of rips up strongly and then it kind of slowly makes its way back down in like more of a rounded bottom. So like you can see how this is like sitting right here now. We're like at this point of that cycle. So anytime we get down to here against the old lows, and then it's like, okay, we're at least getting close. It's just, if you want to use a moving average now to just let this cross come in to suggest that we've actually started turning up, you'll have a lot better, because keep in mind, we're looking for huge moves on crypto. So like if you're paying a little bit up right here to not try to have to knife catch the bottom, you're probably going to do better in general because you're looking for moves all the way back up. So it's not going to really matter if you buy, like this at 40 or like, 44, for example, or 50 after the W comes in. That's, at the end of the day, that's not going to probably affect your double level that much. So in me personally, what I've learned over a while of doing this is I don't like buying into stuff like this because there's no reason it won't just keep going down, 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 down. Just even waiting for the moving averages to look a little better. Even right here, like you at least could have justified that they were trying to turn and then sure enough it faked out. But like at least you knew they were trying to turn. Here it just looks very much still 13 EMA resistance has just been holding through that. So it just tells me we're too early. But it's starting. But anyway, I gotta wrap this up because otherwise I'll just start going and going and going and going and never stopping, which is in a funny way kind of fine with me, but it doesn't make for a great I don't know who watches a 2 hour long YouTube presentation. I will just end with XLM though, because I just wanted to point out that the difference between these, there's a, you know, the difference between like fun, for example, and XLM, and why I think XLM is one of the nicest charts in crypto right now. I think that the base is set here with this nice wide W. Like we came all the way back down against the old lows. We put in a nice W. Sure, it did pop and already got doubles off, and now we're just working our way back down. But the difference between like this one and like the V bottom ones is, at least if you're buying into this W, or at least if you're kind of knife catching right here, you're buying into the previous structure. So it's likely that this W is going to hold, especially considering we're all the way down against the old lows. Now, to be fair, there's still downside risk. But and I got a bunch of lines on here, and this is actually Qcoin, which now I've moved off Qcoin. But point being, we're just sitting at 61.8 here. So I don't really love buying it right here unless you got doubles off and stuff and you're just starting to add back in. But as we get back down into this W, I'm okay with just going and hitting these levels, because I already have my OBV W's in. I already have a structural W. Moving averages are crossed now. They might have to play around some more, but same thing still applies. Like it probably will have to round out again. But all I'm saying is this is a nice base. That's like a nice base to set going forward to hold the lows here, actually, as opposed to making new lows. So I like XLM down below. I don't know whatever Paul said on our plan too. I think it was around here, probably, but basically under 10 cents is kind of where I like it. But in general, I think this is one of the most established bottoms in crypto. Just looking at it like this, that's a nice wide W. That's exactly what you want to see. Because remember my little drawing of fast run up, slow grind down, and rounding out? This has done it, and it produced the first double. So now you can go and accumulate again and repeat the process. So I like XLM for that. I think I'll call it there. So probably went on too long already, but thanks for joining us. And as always, if you have other things you want to look at, jump in the Discord and just throw them in there, and we could talk charts in there. It's been pretty quiet lately, just in general. There's not so many people around, so definitely we'll cover. I'll try to answer every question that pops in, so feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'll be back on Tuesday. That's another chance to if you want to just look at more names, then you can show up on Tuesday and we'll do the same thing. Just start going through these charts. Unfortunately, most of the answers are going to be, or most of the analysis is going to look the same. I think most things are going to look like this, or I shouldn't say like this, but just, it's no hurry up and buy kind of attitude right now, in my opinion. And really, we don't want to get into a place where FOMO buying at all anyway. But at the same time, it's like, if you're going to do this, the classic saying, trend is your friend, right? Like you'll hear traders say the trend is your friend, and they're basically just saying that you're going to have a lot better success if you're kind of going with the trend. And right now the trend is sideways at best, or even down, so we're not in the environment where it's like new people are coming in to run the prices up. And so the goal is to try to get as close to that where you can still buy you want to buy the bottom, like right, but as close to before the trend starts turning up, or at least I do. I don't really want to hold these things unnecessarily if I can. So I've tried to build a plan that allows me to try to sneak in right at the end of the bottoming period before the bull starts. And that basically means weekly W's or moving average crosses, like just even looking at XLM, it's like you could have been buying like the old W's right here at 12 cents. So like buying at 12 cents right here is fine, but look how you would have had to wait, and you wouldn't have even had that great of a average cost if you're buying in here. You could have waited for the W's. You could have even waited after this pop and buying now, and you even have more confirmation, and you're not really paying up too much, but you're closer to the actual bottom than just kind of buying in a downtrend, which again, the moving averages very clearly showed you a downtrend. It even tried to kind of W here, but you really just never got any strength above the moving averages to confirm it. And then of course it had to crap out again. And so all I'm saying is, it's a long way of saying that, like, right now is not the time to feel any FOMO, because it's just not the time to think that things are going to just turn around tomorrow and head straight up. I suppose there's always a chance it could, but it just probably is not gonna. It's going to take more time for these things. Even XLM, which I say is such a nice chart, it still has a lot of work to do to truly bottom again. So if you are feeling rushed or anything, probably just try to zoom out and I mean, if you do feel FOMO right now, you're probably just not viewing the markets in a healthy way with like a real plan or some sort of technical analysis to sort of uh, keep you out of trouble or whatever. So if if you feel like you need to FOMO in right now, then really you should probably spend your time learning and like getting to a place where you understand the markets more clearly, because there's if you have experience in this stuff, you're probably not going to be like aping in right here too hard. If you've been around a little bit and kind of have a plan working already, there's probably nothing that's going to make you want to just jump right in here. Barring like zooming in and stuff. I'm not talking about zooming in and taking trades on like lower time frames. I'm just talking about trying to buy the bottom of this cycle. So anyhow, I think I'll leave it at that. Went on too long, of course, damn it. But it is what it is. So have a good rest of your weekends, and I got some family in town, so I'm gonna take off. But I'll be watching the futures markets opening up here a little later and just see where we're at. And I'll be watching the DXY pretty closely to see what it does this week and see if it can roll over. And other than that, I'll just see you guys Tuesday and throughout the week in Discord. So thanks again, everybody, and I will talk to y'all soon. So take care.